Thank you. Please sit down. Excellencies of the Diplomatic Corps, Secretary Icona, Dr. Shin Yong-su, Honorable Leo Talalay Tuitama, Dr. Ian Smith, heads of delegation, delegates of the 65th session of the World Health Organization Regional Committee for the Western Pacific, fellow workers in government, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, again, good morning. It has been 25 years since the Philippines last played host to the session of the World Health Organization Regional Committee for the Western Pacific. Back then, it was my mother, President Corazon Aquino, who welcomed your predecessors to our country, where they would discuss, among others, infant and child nutrition, the WHO's expanded immunization program, and financial policies and strategies in public health. A generation has come and gone. The issues discussed in the previous sessions of this meeting remain as relevant as ever, even as we are asked to confront new and evolving challenges. In the face of this, however, what has always remained strong and sure is our conviction to overcome these challenges together. Our gathering represents the determination of 37 member states or associate members and areas to work as one community in order to improve the state of public health. Today, we affirm no man is an island. Similarly, no country can operate or achieve its full development in isolation from others. This is true for the sector of health as well. As professionals, all of you will have experienced how the performance of your duties can be enhanced or even hampered by other factors, including, or probably because of, politics. As public servants, all of you have been driven to find ways to surpass these challenges precisely because our duty is to empower our countrymen. Here in the Philippines, some of our greatest achievements in healthcare arose from complicated, frustrating situations. For example, in the past, the number of enrollees or members in our National Health Insurance Program, PhilHealth, would rise dramatically during election season. Politicians used the promise of healthcare to gain political capital without actually delivering on that promise. While government continues to contend with problems from those days, there is no doubt that PhilHealth today does more than promise care. Under our watch, coverage has expanded to the vast majority of our population, as work continues to identify the remaining uncovered population, which includes informal settlers and indigenous people. Right now, our people are already receiving tangible benefits from being covered by PhilHealth. Identified poorest households, for instance, need only show their PhilHealth cards to receive free treatment for ailments spanning the spectrum, from common illnesses to catastrophic ones such as leukemia. Another example, critical legislation such as the Sin Tax Bill and the Responsible Parenthood and Reproductive Health Bill had languished in our Congress for so long because of various interests. After intense public debate and scrutiny, both these bills were signed into law. As a result, Filipino parents now have access to the resources they need to make informed decisions about their families in accordance with their conscience and beliefs. The results of sin tax reform are also promising. According to the 2013 National Nutrition Survey, smoking prevalence among adults 20 years old and above decreased from 31% in 2008 to 25.4% in 2013, while smoking prevalence among children aged 10 to 19.9 years old decreased from 9.1% in 2008 to 6.8% in 2013. We are hopeful that this decrease will continue. There are other achievements. Thousands of doctors, nurses, midwives, and community health teams have been deployed all over the archipelago. 46.39 billion pesos has been allotted from 2010 to 2014 to upgrade and rehabilitate public health facilities. Our conditional cash transfer program, which covers more than 4 million poor households and homeless families, requires beneficiaries to have children vaccinated and to send pregnant mothers to regular checkups, among others, for them to receive cash grants. These are only a few of the critical measures our administration has taken in order to ensure that Filipinos have access to quality health care. Yet there is more to be done, especially in light of the new challenges arising today. A little under a year ago, Typhoon Haiyan, or Yolanda as we call it, swept through the central Philippines. A storm of unprecedented intensity. It affected 44 out of 81 of our provinces, destroying critical infrastructure, including communications, power, and our health facilities, incapacitating local government units and other first responders, and sweeping away pre-positioned relief goods, including medicines and equipment. Needless to say, It was something no country ever had to deal with before. The devastation was terrible, but this only galvanized everyone into action, from government to the private sector to our friends and partners in the international community. Our own agencies, including the Department of Health, were quick to deploy all necessary equipment and personnel to provide the necessary relief and rescue efforts. Our resources and actions were complemented by those provided by other nations and international organizations. Aid poured in from all over the world, including significant donations of medical supplies and drugs. Our own surgeons and doctors worked alongside foreign medical teams to provide the medical attention and care needed by survivors. I've said it before, and I will say it again. The generosity and solidarity that the world displayed was beyond compare. At the same time, I believe that the worsening effects of climate change show us a new imperative in responding to the suffering of others, wherever they may be from. That the time to debate individual commitments is over. Instead, each of us must do everything within our capacities to address the problem at hand. This, I believe, does not apply only to climate change, but also to other sectors, including public health. For instance, outbreaks of illnesses and diseases like the MERS coronavirus and Ebola are among the greatest challenges the world faces today. For the Philippines specifically, the fact that we have 10 million of our countrymen living and working abroad makes these kinds of outbreaks a paramount concern. This year, the MERS coronavirus broke out and spread in the Middle East. Based on current reports, the mortality rate for MERS coronavirus ranges from 30 to 60%. And of course, our first thought immediately went to the more than a million Filipinos living and working in the Middle East. The matter was complicated further when, during Holy Week, which is a holiday in our country, we received belated news that an overseas Filipino worker with the virus had arrived in the country. On top of this, from that international flight, he had also traveled to his home province. You can imagine how critical the situation seemed. It was necessary to track down every person on that flight, quarantine, and test them at the soonest possible time. Thankfully, the test results came back negative. That rather harrowing time gave us the chance to take a good look at our systems, to identify areas that could be improved upon, and to make those improvements. Soon after, I signed an executive order creating an interagency task force to manage emerging infectious diseases in the country. And even then, the work continues. Among the questions we need to keep asking ourselves are, how can we best educate our countrymen about these outbreaks without spreading fear and panic? Is there an efficient and safe way to monitor our countrymen's exposure to diseases and to repatriate them while ensuring their health as well as that of the general populace? I speak for myself and my government when I say that we will continue to exert every effort and undertake all possible initiatives to find answers to these questions and keep our countrymen safe and healthy as pandemics threaten to spread. However, we can all agree that we work better and more efficiently when we work with others, whether to monitor and contain outbreaks or to meet the Millennium Development Goals or to anticipate and prepare for global health concerns. Through the establishment of the World Health Organization and through our participation in these kinds of events, we are doing just that, strengthening the ties that bind us, and by so doing, affirming our duty to our countrymen and our fellow men. Thus, it is my hope that this session will be productive, that discussions are informed by the wealth of knowledge and experience that each one brings to the table, and that at the conclusion of this meeting, you return to your homes more determined than ever to find solutions to the challenges that remain. After all, here we are speaking not of abstract issues or ideas pulled out of thin air. We are speaking of men, women, and children whose lives we can change for the better, who we can empower by cooperating with one another and by working not just towards a healthier future for our own people, but for the entire world. And I think I will be remiss if I don't issue a reminder. All of us depend so much on the work that you will be doing the next few days. But perhaps there can be a little time for you to discover why it is really more fun to work in the Philippines. Thank you and good day.